Well, I want to say a very good evening to Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is the Conservative MP for North East Somerset. Jacob is speaking at the Warwick PPE Society tonight, followed by our University Conservative Association. So welcome to Warwick, Jacob.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here and actually to be back here.
Yes. So at the talk tonight, there's been a fair amount of security. Indeed, some people are protesting your attendance. Does it upset you at all that your political views mean that you require protection in public?
Well, it's not so much protection as it's just ensuring that there's reasonable order. I think it's very healthy that there is a political debate going on. I welcome political debate and I'm always keen to engage and discuss with people the views that they have. And I think a vibrant democracy has a place for peaceful protest.
But this isn't some, swilling port debate where people are, being incredibly intellectual. It's sometimes quite mean abuse people in masks. Does it not kind of upset you at all that you can't walk through campus freely like you used to in your university days?
Well, in my university days I wasn't a public figure. I've now got a profile and I put forward views that people disagree with, and they're entitled to protest. I think peaceful protest is part of our democracy. And the freedom of speech means allowing people to say things you don't like as well as things that you do like. But I welcome people coming to events I'm doing so that we can have a conversation, and they may disagree with what I say, but we can discuss it and debate it. I think the very shouty type approach that some take, the effort to shut down debate, isn't a very sensible approach, but I don't think it works either.
And I think actually, even though this is obviously a very popular event tonight, it's the youth movement who are less fond of you than perhaps their parents are. 75% of them voted to leave the European Union. The Conservative Party appear politically distant from you on a myriad of social issues. If I vote Labour, I'm getting free tuition, rent control, as well as a great social reform. So how can you sell the Conservative Party to young people?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't believe those empty promises. That you won't get free tuition if there's a Labour government, and they've made all sorts of noises post-election indicating that it wasn't as much a deal as they might have implied during the election. And on rent control, if you introduce rent control, you just find there are fewer properties to rent. The rent control destroyed the private rental sector, so we've got a housing crisis. It's hard to buy properties. If you add on rent control, it'd be hard to rent properties as well, so there would be a bigger problem for young people. I think the message from Conservatives should not be that we're dividing society up. We shouldn't seek to divide society, we should seek to unite it. So we should be offering Conservative principles, and then setting out how from those Conservative principles, which are for everybody, we do things that will help the young, the middle-aged and the elderly, that will be relevant to every section of society.
All right, and for many students, what lies at the heart of this divide is the fact that capitalism doesn't seem to be serving their and our best interests. So what do you have to say to students that don't believe in the merits of free markets?
Well, free markets historically have been the most efficient means of allocating capital, and that has led to the strongest economic performance, and that has made everybody more prosperous and has allowed the state to pay for the public services that the people wish to have provided. So I think capitalism has historically worked and socialism hasn't, so if people have any interest in history will see that. But that's not enough. You need to show how it will work for people of this generation and how it will help them in their lives. And I think there is a real issue with housing, and we simply need to build more houses, because if young people think that getting on the housing ladder is an unachievable aim for them, then they're never going to have any capital in the system. And if you don't have any capital in the capitalist system, you're likely to think it's not such a good idea.
Thank you very much. Moving on to some of your more controversial social views. So you've said previously that regarding same-sex marriage, you follow the teachings of the Catholic Church. And and they believe that the justification for their position is that marriage as an institution should be for procreation and bringing up of children.
Well, I phrase it differently. I think the teaching of the Church is that marriage is a sacrament, one of the 7 sacraments, and that the sacraments are under the auspices of the Church, not of the state, and that the state is intervening in an area that properly ought to be left to the Church. But this is very conventional. I mean, I think we live in a tolerant society where many of our fellow British people are Christian. And so I think Christian views are fairly mainstream. I think they get seen as sometimes being very much a minority view, but actually Christianity has been part of our society for what, since St Augustine. I mean, it's a very, very long time, and it's very ingrained in our society. I wouldn't view it as marginal a view as you suggest.
All right, but there are a lot of people who would actually still hold the view that gay marriage is okay, despite holding those kind of positions.
That's absolutely true, and the state has to make decisions that are not necessarily going to be the same as those that are made by the churches. So
would you, for example, be in favour of a marriage between a man and a transgender man? So this is where a pregnancy can occur.
The issue on definition of sacraments is something that belongs to the church. The issue on relationships that are approved by the state is a matter of the state, and I think it's important to differentiate between the two. I have no quarrel with the relationships that are legitimised by the state. They're just not the sacrament of marriage.
Okay. So you are well known for being in favour of a more liberal, open-looking Brexit. However, the economic consensus tells us that leaving the EU without a proper deal would be very bad. So what makes you think that we could do very well without a deal and crashing out on WTO rules?
Oh, because if you look at the report done by the Treasury that has been published recently, it's a very badly constructed report using an economic modelling system that wasn't designed.
Is that the only report?
But the Treasury report before we left, saying the consequences of leaving, has been completely discredited. It's entirely wrong. The Treasury has effectively accepted this because it's changed the modelling from the pure gravity model to a different model. But the model it's using doesn't model the UK specifically. It models how trade within Europe works. But the UK is in a very different position because the majority of our trade is not within the European Union, unlike other EU member states. So it has taken...
It's close to 44%.
It's 43%, but 57% is outside. But internal EU states trade much, much more heavily with each other than 43%. And therefore you're applying a wrong model. And it's not a sufficiently detailed model to be able to come to the conclusions that have been come to in this exercise by the Treasury, which is a political exercise to describe.
And on the case of models, because obviously Patrick Minford is one of he led the economists for free trade, and one of the criticisms was that actually the model that he was using was outdated. A lot of the problems with
it wasn't actually factually accurate. It turned out not to be true, that criticism.
Well, I'm continuing on to that. A lot of the problems with some of the modelling and the assumptions that Minford held. He presumed, for example, that the devaluation of sterling would lead to any change in the price of UK imports. And I mean, this is an economist that...
The decline of sterling has led to the most extraordinary rebound in manufacturing industry, getting today the best manufacturing figures of 50 years. I mean, it's really terrific boost to manufacturing that's come from the decline in the pound. And the opportunity in removing tariffs that Patrick Minford talks about is an enormous opportunity for Brexit. It's really very important, and this hasn't been properly modelled by the Treasury. And the Treasury figures that were released yesterday haven't even modelled the government's preferred proposal for leaving the European Union. It's a completely worthless piece of work.
All right, well, Jacob Rees-Mogg, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Thank you.